The applause still resonated softly in my ears as I entered the living room, the certificate held securely in both hands. For a brief moment, I allowed myself to hope that my family might feel even a small part of the pride that was swelling within me. Then my father spoke. "Useless girl. You were never the bright one." His words were not shouted, they didn't need to be. They pierced through the air more sharply when spoken softly, writing the silence that enveloped the room. Conversations halted mid-sentence. Glasses were suspended halfway in the air. No one dared to look directly at me, their eyes drifted toward the carpet, the chandelier, anywhere but my face. The certificate trembled in my grasp, suddenly as fragile as crumpled tissue. The warmth drained from my cheeks, leaving behind the emptiness I had carried for years. The room appeared to tilt, and I stood frozen, illuminated under the burden of his disappointment like a spotlight I could never escape. My name is Emma Clark. I am 31 years old and the founder of a tech startup. This is the narrative of how I compelled my family to finally acknowledge me. Growing up in Columbus, overshadowed by my brother, Ethan, was an exercise in invisibility. Ethan was the favored child. My achievements were dismissed like crumbs from the dinner table. "Dad, I was considering expanding the company into." I began, despite the knot tightening in my stomach. "Amelia, please," my father interrupted. "Your brother just secured $1 million contract. Can we concentrate on actual success for a moment?" My mother cast me a sympathetic glance but remained silent. My Aunt Patricia patted my hand and whispered, "Perhaps business isn't your forte, dear. You were always so talented with your little crafts." Little crafts. My tech startup, which had been flourishing for 3 years, was trivialized to a mere hobby in their eyes. I nodded politely and excused myself to the kitchen. My phone buzzed. A text from my business partner, Mia. "Did you inform them about the investor meeting?" I replied, "Not yet. The timing isn't right." What I didn't mention was that the timing would never be right in this house. My father had made a decision long ago that I did not possess the qualities necessary for success. He would often remark that I was too emotional, lacked strategic thinking, and my personal favorite, was not suited for a CEO role. I returned to the family gathering with a smile that failed to reach my eyes. Little did they realize, this dismissal was igniting a fire within me that would soon compel them all to acknowledge my presence. The following day, I arrived at our office located in a refurbished warehouse. My company, Neurosync, had originated as a concept jotted down on napkins during lunch breaks at my previous software development job. Now, we occupied half a floor with 15 employees and were making significant strides in predictive analytics technology. Mia glanced up as I walked in. "That bad, huh?" she inquired, sliding a coffee towards me. "Same story, different day," I responded. Ethan secured a contract with the state government, and you would think he had solved world hunger. Meanwhile, we are merely revolutionizing the way businesses comprehend consumer behavior. Nothing of great importance. The investor meeting is set for Thursday, she continued. Westlake Ventures is eager to see the new algorithm in action. When it goes well, I corrected her, we will secure the capital needed to scale up and directly compete with Horizon Data. Horizon Data was our primary competitor, a firm that had turned down my job application, suggesting I pursue something less technical. That rejection letter still resided in my desk drawer. Back at my childhood home, there were additional reminders. Photographs of Ethan receiving accolades dominated the mantelpiece. My graduation photo was tucked away in a dusty album, seldom viewed. For 3 years, I had resided in a small apartment, subsisting on ramen noodles and reinvesting every dollar into NeuroSync. I had begun with my own savings and a modest business loan, supplemented by an angel investment from a tech mentor I had met during my time at the Columbus Tech Incubator. I toiled for 18-hour days, all the while hearing my father's voice echoing in my mind. "Useless girl, you were never the bright one." The conference room at Westlake Ventures felt excessively warm. I straightened my blazer and looked at Mia, who responded with a discreet nod. As illustrated by our projections, I continued, NeuroSync's algorithm has consistently surpassed market benchmarks by 27%. This indicates an unparalleled capability in predicting customer behavior. Gregory Westlake leaned in closer. "And regarding your competitors, how does Horizon Data's new platform measure up?" Horizon's methodology is based on historical data sets. In contrast, our algorithm integrates real-time emotional response indicators. In simpler terms, they can inform you about customer actions from yesterday, while we can predict their actions for tomorrow. 2 hours later, Mia and I found ourselves in the lobby, still reeling from the news. Westlake had not only consented to invest but also expressed a desire to lead a funding round that would appraise NeuroSync at $90 million. My phone rang, and it was my mother reminding me about my father's retirement celebration. "Perhaps you could bring those cookies you used to bake. Everyone always enjoyed those." The juxtaposition was nearly humorous. One moment, I was engaged in negotiations for a multi-million-dollar agreement, and the next, I was being asked to bring cookies to honor someone else's achievement. The subsequent week was overwhelming. Days merged into nights as lawyers prepared contracts and press releases were meticulously crafted. On Thursday morning, Mia burst into my office holding a tablet. Forbes, Business Insider, The Wall Street Journal. They are all featuring the story. My reflection stared back at me from the Forbes website. The headline proclaimed, "Disruptor Alert." Emma Clark named youngest female CEO in tech following landmark investment deal. My heart sank. The announcement was not meant to be public until I had the opportunity to inform my family personally. I quickly skimmed the article. Our PR firm had included my background in the press kit, evidently hastening the release to align with a significant tech conference occurring this week. As if my thoughts had summoned it, my phone began to buzz with notifications. Colleagues, former classmates, distant relatives, all suddenly aware of my achievement, yet there was no message from my parents or Ethan. The silence was overwhelming. After Mia departed, I reached out to my parents. My father picked up, his tone terse. "I assume you believe we would be impressed," he cut in, showcasing his presence in the business sections. "Dad, I established this company from the ground up. No connections, no familial backing, not even a word of support. Now you have your name featured in a few articles. We shall see how long it endures before reality dawns. The truth is that I am now the CEO of a $90 million company that is transforming the industry. This tech bubble you are writing about will inevitably burst. Ethan has created something substantial, something genuine." I shut my eyes, suddenly weary of the same old story. Sunday came, warm and bright. An ideal day for an outdoor retirement celebration. I found myself in my car outside my parents' residence, observing the guests arrive, individuals who had seen me pushed to the sidelines over the years. Taking a deep breath, I exited my new Jaguar F-Type. A congratulatory present to myself, purchased with a small advance from the investment deal that had just finalized yesterday. The sleek car was anything but subtle, nor was it intended to be. As I retrieved a small, elegantly wrapped gift, I sensed eyes shifting towards me. Cousin Drew halted mid-conversation, his mouth slightly agape. "Is that Amelia?" I handed him the keys. "Could you park it for me? The driveway is becoming congested." My mother was the first to notice me, her greeting freezing as she took in my appearance. The practical daughter they were accustomed to was no longer present. Today, I donned a tailored cream suit paired with a striking blue silk blouse, designer heels, and jewelry that subtly conveyed success. "Amelia," she managed to say. "You look different." I approached my father at the grill. "Dad," I said, extending the small package. "Happy retirement." He turned, his expression inscrutable. He accepted the gift with a nod but made no attempt to unwrap it. "You didn't need to bring anything," he remarked stiffly. "I wanted to," I responded, holding his gaze. As I walked away, I overheard one of his friends remark, "Bob, isn't that your daughter who's been making headlines?" The CEO. Ethan and his wife, Jennifer, observed my approach with barely concealed astonishment. "Quite an entrance, sis," Ethan commented. "Nice car," Jennifer interjected. "We have read about your company. It is quite impressive. Why didn't you share what you were working on all these years?" I simply replied, "I did, many times." No one seemed interested in listening. Ethan shifted uncomfortably, clearly recalling the family dinners where my attempts to discuss my business were dismissed. "Well, we are all certainly interested now," Jennifer continued. "Everyone is talking about that valuation, $90 million. I noticed heads turning at nearby tables upon hearing that figure. Whispers spread like ripples in a pond. "Thank you," I responded. "It has been a long journey, but the technology is revolutionary." Ethan cleared his throat. "I would love to hear more about it sometime. My company might even be interested in implementing something like that." The irony was not lost on me. 3 years ago, I had approached Ethan regarding a potential partnership. He had declined, suggesting I focus on something more established first. "I will have my assistant reach out," I replied, the courteous corporate response coming easily. As the afternoon unfolded, the atmosphere shifted noticeably. Relatives who had previously gravitated toward Ethan now sought me out, inquiring about Neurosync, about what it was like to be featured in Forbes, about my secrets to success. My father remained by the grill, observing this transformation of his often overlooked daughter with an inscrutable expression. He still had not unwrapped my gift, a custom engraved watch inscribed with the words, "To New Beginnings. Love, Amelia." Eventually, my father tapped his glass to gain attention. He began with anecdotes from his years as an engineer, then shifted to family acknowledgments. "And of course, I am proud of my children. Ethan, who is making his mark at Hamilton Financial, was recently promoted to vice president." A courteous round of applause ensued. "And Amelia," my father continued, his voice slightly wavering, "who seemingly has been quietly constructing something none of us completely grasped." The yard was now quiet, the tension evident. "I always claimed she was the emotional one," he added with a slight chuckle. "It appears I may have underestimated the extent to which that emotional intelligence could propel her." It was not an apology, far from it, but it marked the first public recognition from my father that he might have been mistaken about me. As glasses were lifted, I noticed something new in many eyes. Respect. As the evening unfolded, I found a moment alone with my father. He stood at the edge of the yard, nursing a whiskey. "You haven't unwrapped your gift," I remarked. He gazed at me, truly gazed at me, perhaps for the first time in years. I wanted to wait until it was quieter. "So," he finally said, "CEO." "Yes." "Of a $90 million company." "Yes." "And the youngest woman to achieve that, according to those articles, that's what they claim." A lengthy pause ensued. "I don't comprehend it." He confessed this tech matter. "In my era, business was straightforward. You don't need to grasp technology, Dad. Just recognize that I created something valuable, something enduring." He nodded slowly, then motioned toward the front of the house. "That car? That's quite a statement." It wasn't intended to be a statement. It was meant to be a reward for years of diligent effort. "Still," he said, his voice softer. "Arriving like that after all those articles, you knew what you were doing." "Yes," I conceded I did. 2 months later, with our funding secured and expansion plans in motion, Neurasync's new headquarters was inaugurated in downtown Columbus. To my astonishment, my entire family was present at the ribbon-cutting ceremony. My mother embraced me tightly. "We're so proud of you, Amelia. I apologize if we didn't express it earlier." Ethan approached next. "This is remarkable, sis. I had no idea this was what you were developing." "That's because you never inquired," I responded, but without the bitterness that would have tainted such a statement months prior. My father stood by the entrance, absorbing the sleek architecture. He wore the watch I had gifted him, a small gesture, yet meaningful. I approached him. "Thank you for attending." He nodded. "Wouldn't have missed it. You know, Dad, all those instances when you labeled me as useless, told me I wasn't the intelligent one. It pained me, but it also motivated me to prove you wrong." He gazed at me, his expression a complicated blend of pride and regret. "You certainly accomplished that." "Yes," I concurred. "I did." And in that moment, standing in the building that carried my company's name, surrounded by the empire I had created, I finally felt liberated from the need for his approval. I was Emma Clark, CEO, visionary, and architect of my own success. And no one would ever refer to me as useless again.